everyone, welcome to a new video on the Eldenwood Craft YouTube channel. My name's Emma and this space is where I share with you all the things that I've been making since I last recorded a video, which was 2 weeks ago. And so I'm keeping up my plan of YouTube domination in 2023. Today is Wednesday the 8th of February and I'm recording back up in my studio. Just had a message from my daughter to say she's stepladder trained. Long story, not to be told here. Yeah, I'm recording back up in my studio because my husband is up in London for the day, and he has the opposite, just he uses the room on the other side of that wall to work in when my daughter's away at university. And I wasn't happy with the quality of the last video. The lighting was funny, the sound was really echoey, so I think what I'm going to do is film my videos around my husband's visits to London. He normally goes each week, so there'll be plenty of opportunity to get that recording done. Okay, as always, I'll put show notes and all the information you need about the things I'm talking about today in the description box below, and there will be some chattier show notes over on my website, which is eldenwoodcraft.com. If there's something that I talk about that I haven't left information about in the show notes, then do just get in touch with me, either leave a comment below or all my contact details are in the description box. Thank you for the comments on the last video. It's always interesting to see where you're watching me chatting away to you and what you're working on. So yeah, leave me a comment and give me the detail. Thank you for the comments on my last video. It's always interesting to me to see where you're watching from and what you're working on, so leave a comment today and let me know. Right, today's episode is going to cover the couple of projects that I've been working on since I last recorded, plans for the next couple of weeks, things that I've been reading, a little bit of shop news, and that's about it. So let's see if we can get this done nice and succinctly. A lot of you had said actually that you like the shorter episodes, so let's see if we can yeah, keep it nice and short. So how have you been over the last couple of weeks? I hope you're well. It's been a fairly standard couple of weeks for us, other than the fact that it was my husband's birthday on Sunday and we had a really nice trip up to the coast to enjoy some winter sun and some sea air. And we've also been making plans to paint our living room. I'll put a picture up here actually of the swatches that we painted if I can find them. The one that we're going for, we've tried 2 greens and a stony colour, and we're going to go with the stony colour in the end because we have a big green sofa, and we just thought the greens, it would just be too much green. So yeah, so that's what we've been up to. Right, let's get into some knitting. So in my last episode I spoke about the fact that I was going to focus on 2 projects over the next couple of weeks. My Marling Festival shawl wrap, I can't remember what its proper title is, and my Felix sweater, and that is what I have stuck to. So let me share first of all the Marling Festival. Right, I shared this picture of it just so you can... It's a big brioche wrap. Pattern is by Annie Knits. It's a fairly new pattern, I think. I bought mine from Ravelry. It was a paid for pattern. And the yarn I'm using 2 yarns. I'm using odds and ends of sort of creamy coloured yarns that I've got in my stash, and I'm also using my Sherry Iris Advent Calendar. Let me just show you the inside of this box because it is beautiful. can see a lot of it's been taken away. But this is how the advent was presented. So pretty. Each yarn, each day's advent came in a little fabric bag with a story, and sometimes there was a little gift in there, and it was just really nice. So I am putting my advent calendar into this shawl in the order that the advent yarns came out of the box in. And I was going to say the reason for making this, because I haven't been making a lot of shawls recently. However, I found myself over the last 2 or 3 months really enjoying, at the end of the day, wrapping up in my habitation throw, which I don't have up here. But my habitation throw I made last year from, coincidentally, Sherry Iris yarns again. And I've been holding it double as a big sort of a triangular shawl. So it was kind of I suppose it was a DK weight shawl, or fingering weight held double, if you get what I mean. Not explaining that very well, am I? And I just thought it would be really nice to have a shawl, a heavier weight shawl, designed actually to be a shawl, so I could use my habitation throw for the purpose that was designed for. So I went about looking for a triangular shawl, which is not something I would usually make. I'd been enjoying the texture that I've been getting from my bakery, from my K. Jones Bits and Bobs blanket, which I think is either fisherman's rib or brioche. I think it's fisherman's rib or some sort of tuck stitch. So I wanted a brioche-esque shawl that I was able to use my advent yarns for, and that was a DK or higher weight. And so I came across 2 shawls that I like the look of: the Marling Festival, which is what I opted for, and this is one of the reasons I chose not to go for this shawl, which is a little bit silly. I think it's called the Yalliday shawl. It's Y''Alliday. It's by Emily Curtis, who has the Gently Chaotic Knits podcast on YouTube. And that too was a big wraparound brioche shawl designed for Advent minis, I think, or mini skeins of some variety. But you know what? I thought about that. I don't know if this is silly, but I thought about describing and talking about this shawl to people and on my videos, and do you know what? I just couldn't bring myself to say Yalliday. I don't know why. That's just, I have a real mental block about that in my head. It just didn't feel comfortable coming out of my mouth. So I went for the Marling Festival shawl, which is much easier to say. I would really like to knit or maybe I'll call it the Yalliday, the other shawl. I would really like to knit that at some point. So maybe if I can get my mouth around those words, maybe it will come at some point. Anyway, let's get on to the Marling Festival shawl. So here it is. Find the right way to hold it. I'm not sure if I'm showing you the back or the front, but let's go this way because this one doesn't have most of the loose ends. Well, it has most of the loose ends hidden away. Whoops, yarn going down. Right, there we go. Beautiful brioche structure, and you can see where the changes in the yarn have come in. So I'm holding a mini, I'm holding a mini held double with a neutral. That's the one that's on the go at the moment. There's the mini that's on the go at the moment. And the approach that I'm taking to knitting this is really relaxed, and that's making for a really enjoyable knit. I'm just changing yarns whenever I feel like it, really. So I did a big a big chunk of one colour here, and then I did a couple of other colours, So you can see you have a chunk of brioche, followed by some garter rows, another chunk of brioche, more garter rows, and that is it basically for the rest of the shawl. You start off with a garter tab at this end, and you make increases every so many rows, and eventually we're going to have a lovely big triangular squishy wrap. Thoughts on the pattern? I really like the fact that it encourages you to use your leftover yarns, either from other projects or mini skeins, bits and bobs that you've got. And I like the fact that the intention is that it should be not a very steep triangular, but a deep and shallow triangular shawl. It's a really scalable pattern as well, so you could just keep knitting for as many different minis, or for all the different bits and bobs and stuff that you've got. You could really keep going for as big a shawl as you want, so that's really good. I have a couple of gripes about the pattern. There's a handful of typos in it which really irritates me. And some of the instructions about how you go about repeating the repeat pattern is a little bit, I found it a little bit unclear. That could have just been me, but I suspect actually it's more about the translation of the pattern than the way the pattern is written. I think that Annie Knits is a German designer, and I suspect this was written initially in German and then translated into English, which would explain the typos and how some of the language is framed. But actually the fact that I'm taking this as quite a relaxed project, and I'm not really caring too much about some mistakes that I've made. I mean, you'll see, I started off, can you see that? Yeah, there's a centre, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but there's a centre spine that runs down the middle. And I've started off with the centre spine on this side, and then somewhere around here I must have got my reading of the pattern wrong, because actually the centre spine now sits on the other side of the fabric. But I don't really care, to be honest. It's a shawl for wearing around the house. My husband's not going to notice. I'm not too bothered, and so I'm just going to enjoy the knit. I'm going to really enjoy the finished product. I'm enjoying using Sherry's minis and enjoying how they're marling up along with the cream yarn. So it's a good project. I'm happy with it despite those little niggles. That's going to go away in my project bag for a little bit, because I have got some other things that I want to work on for a couple of weeks. The other thing that I've been working on since I last recorded is my Felix sweater. Just find my notes on that. So Felix is a pattern by Amy Christoffers. This is the second Felix that I've knit, so that tells you that I enjoyed my first Felix. The pattern is well written. Again, it's a paid for pattern. I got mine on Ravelry. I showed you this in its early stages in my last video, and I've spent a week knitting on it, and I've made some really good progress. I'm using can you see that? Letloppi, and this is the colourway 0086. It's an Aran weight yarn. You get 100 meters to 50 grams. I think that's Aran weight, isn't it? And this is a beautiful oatmeal-y colour. I absolutely love this colour, and you'll see in a minute how it knits up. It's beautiful. So when I last recorded, I thought I placed a... Okay. Well, I thought I'd made more progress than that. Right, here's the sweater. When I last recorded, I was at this stitch marker. I thought I'd made loads more progress. But what I have done, I have knit to the end of the ball of yarn that I was using. And I'm a little bit worried that I don't have enough yarn. So what I'm doing, I'm knitting the sleeves. And you can see that I have completed one sleeve. And I am currently working away on sleeve number 2. The yarn I have got left is, this is the yarn for the current sleeve. That's the yarn left over from sleeve number 1. So each sleeve takes 45 grams of yarn. And I have got that left. And I may have enough. I thought I bought enough because I did a little bit of maths. The last Felix that I had made was too big and I went wrong with my reading of the pattern, and that was totally my fault. I think I was enjoying the raglan increases way too much and went on more than I should have done, and it was too late once I noticed. So I've just gone with a nice big oversized sweater. This one definitely fits better. I have gone for a size 3. Could even go a little bit smaller having tried it on, but I'm happy with a 3. And I've actually bought 50 grams less yarn than a size 3 calls for. But I've bought 50 grams less than my bigger Felix weighs. So my thought process when I was buying my yarn was that should be okay. So maybe it will be. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to try and finish this in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to use up my yarn in the next couple of weeks, and if I need to buy another ball of this, I'll have to do some hunting because there is none left in the shop that I bought it from, which was my local yarn store. Found a lovely local yarn store with my friend Sarah called the Lace Knittery. I'll leave a link to it because they have some fabulous yarns, including some of this in stock. It was really lovely to be able to go and see all the different colours of the Letloppi. And I'll be back there to buy another sweater quantity of this at some point. But yeah, so I think they have run out of this. There is none on Wool Warehouse. Sorry for doing this. There's none on Wool Warehouse, so I might have to go and find a D-stash somewhere or go and hunt a ball down from overseas. But we'll see. I might have enough. This is coming up to, if I just stand up, this is coming up to about... just over my tummy button, and I'd like it to get to sort of just below belt level. We will see. Let's play yarn chicken and see if I win. I'm knitting, this is exciting, I'm knitting on some new needles. These are interchangeable needles, and I don't usually knit with interchangeable needles, but I treated myself to a full set of the Chalgu twists. So the twists? Twist, spin. No, these are the spin. Chalgu spin. So I treated myself just before Christmas to a full set of those.
This on the web.
Oh, Siri is just telling me it's found some Chalgu needles on the web. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, I treated myself to a full set of those. and I really like them. They're bamboo, I think. Yeah, bamboo interchangeables. So I'm enjoying using those. This is the first project that I have used them for. The I like ChiaoGoo anyway, so I knew I was getting a quality needle. I've used ChiaoGoos for many years, but I've always been a little bit reluctant with interchangeables because my experience with them hasn't been great, but these are fantastic. The join is smooth. I have not had any issue with the needles becoming disconnected from the cables, so I'm really happy with these. And the needle itself, although it's wood, it's really slick, and it's a really enjoyable knitting experience, so I can highly recommend those. I went for the shorter tips. I think these are the 4-inch tips, and I like the way they feel in my hand. I also treated myself to a full set of the ChiaoGoo twists, and I went for the 5-inch tips with those. I haven't used those yet, but I will do soon, and I will report back on what I think. Anyway, yeah, so that's my Felix. Really enjoying it. The fabric, the fabric that the yarn is creating is lovely. I love the different tones in the colourway. It's just a beautiful oatmeal-y colour. I did the tubular cast on for the neck line, which has created a bit of a tighter neckline, but I don't mind that. You'll see it when I try it on. Oh, should I tell you what I'm wearing? Flax. So you've seen this before. Knit in Drops Nord. And my Litmus Cal knit from, I think this was knit from ends of other projects. I've been wearing this a lot recently. Very comfy. Anyway, so yeah, I did the tubular cast on using a tutorial from Isolde's website, which was really good, and I will leave a link to that in the show notes. So very happy. I'm going to continue working on that over the next couple of weeks and see how far I get with the yarn. I'm holding this in one of my project bags that is not for sale, but I mentioned last time that I was having a go at updating my bag sizes, and I have really been enjoying this bag size. This is an XL bag. I was just saying that I've been playing about with changing my bag sizes, and this is going to be my new XL size. Really easily holds that sweater in there with loads of room to spare. I've played about with the bag depth really, and I have started this bag with a bigger panel of fabric than my standard XLs, and just cut a deeper bottom out of it, so you get a nice square bottom. So yeah, so I will be popping bags of that size in my shop. As I said, that fabric isn't for sale, but I will have some new fabrics soon in my next shop update, which I will talk to you about in a minute. Okay, so that is Felix. That is all the knitting that I have been doing since I last recorded. My plans for the next 2 weeks, as I said, I'm going to continue knitting on Felix. I'd like to get to the end of the yarn that I've got, whether that be with a finished sweater or a desperate search for another ball of the Letloppi. We will see. I will let you know in mid-February. The other thing that I'm going to knit on, I bought myself a new pattern. I'm trying not to, but because I've got quite a lot of patterns in my Ravelry library, and I've got some pattern books that I don't use that often, and maybe that's something I should do. But anyway, as a knitter, I find it slightly ridiculous that the only gloves that I have are fingerless mittens. I don't own a pair of full-length mittens, and my fingers have been getting cold on my walks recently. So I've been on the lookout for a pair of mittens, and a picture came up on my Instagram feed that really struck me. And I went off and investigated, and I discovered the Aujla mittens, which is a pattern by Susanne Muller, who is Paula Strict on Instagram. And these are the mittens. Is that going to focus? These are knit in half fisherman's rib, I think. Half fisherman's rib or brioche. I think it's half fisherman's rib. And they are knit using, I think it's approximately a DK weight yarn. It calls for yarn that is 125 meters per 50 grams. So that works out at DK / worsted. And I'm trying to use up stash this year. And so I've had a rummage, and I found two candidates for knitting these up. The first one is a ball of this lovely, so it looks quite blue on screen, but it's actually more of a sea green colour. No, that's quite difficult to show the colourway. But it's Drops Karisma, which is a you get 200 meters per 100 grams. These are 50 gram balls, so that's slightly thicker. Yeah, slightly thicker yarn, but that'll be all right. Maybe I'll just go down a needle size or something. So I've got a couple of balls of that, or I could go grey. And my lovely mother-in-law gave me 6 or 7 balls of this a little while ago. Oops. It's Adriafil Regina, and it's 50 grams, 125 meters. So that is exactly the right meterage. I'm going to take the ball band off to read it. It's 100% merino wool in shade 82. I don't know if this is still available. I have a funny feeling it might not be, or we can't get it here in the UK or something. I'm sure I looked it up when I was given it, and I couldn't find much information about it. However, it's really lovely and soft, and I think that would make a really nice pair of brioche mittens, or half fisherman rib mittens. So I'm going to knit that pair of mittens. I'm going to cast that pair of mittens on over the next week or so, and bring my progress back to you next time. It's a big old pattern. I haven't read through it properly, but there are, how many pages? 9 pages, but I think what she's done is almost write out the different size. So it comes in 3 sizes, I think, and I think she's written out the pattern for each size separately, which is quite good. Anyway, so that is my second knit for the next couple of weeks. I've also got an urge actually to cast on a pair of socks. Got a pair of socks on the go that if I remember rightly, I've finished one sock and I need to cast on the second sock. It's a pair of helical knit socks. I was just playing about with that way of using, of striping yarns, but I will show you that another time. But I've got in my head, I want to use up some more of my minis or scraps, and I want to knit a pair of socks that is colour blocked with a little bit of a neutral colour in between each block. I've really got an urge to knit a pair of socks like that, so they might be cast on as well. I'm trying not to cast on too many things, but we will see. It's for fun, isn't it? Okay, Quick chat about what I have been reading or listening to. So I have, in the last couple of days, I have just finished the most wonderful book. I'm struggling to find the right words to describe this book. It's brilliant. I'll put a picture of it up here. The book is The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. I suspect many of you have read it. If you haven't, I could not recommend it more. I gave it 5 stars out of 5 on my Goodreads account. I would have given it more if I could. It's a story about a chap, Cyril Avery. What a brilliant character, who was born in 1940s Dublin out of wedlock, and it follows different stages of his life through sort of Irish history, and it deals with religion, with politics, with homophobia, with relationships, with family. I just loved it so much. I would listen to it when I'm out and about on my walks at lunchtime, and I would laugh out loud, which I don't often do. It's so funny, but it's also really bleak. It's really heartwarming. The narration was out of this world. The narrator was a chap called Stephen Hogan. He's an Irish actor, and he just brought the book to life. It was wonderful. I will revisit that book, but I'd like to get myself a physical copy of the book, because it's the sort of book I think that you could probably dip into and read the words for the sake of reading the words, because the way John Boyne wrote about some things was just beautiful. I really enjoyed it. I was speaking to someone about it yesterday, and they said that they read it a few years ago, or during lockdown, and the book still comes back to them on a very regular basis in their mind, and I think that will be the case with me as well. It was brilliant, really good, and one of you recommended it to me, so thank you for that. The other book that I'm reading on my Kindle at the moment is a book by Stacey Halls, and it's Mrs. England. I'll put a picture of it up here again. Stacey Halls wrote 2 other books that I've read in the last couple of years, The Familiars and The Foundling. And Mrs. England, I really enjoyed those 2 books, and I'm equally enjoying Mrs. England. It's a quite a menacing. It has a menacing feel. I'm about 60% of the way through the book. It's about a children's nurse who comes to live with a Yorkshire mill owner and his family. Excuse me. And there's something very unusual about this family that we still haven't quite got to the bottom of. So it's I use the word menacing, and there is that sort of menacing rumble throughout the book. I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait to find out where it's going. Yeah, so my aim is to finish that in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, and come back and tell you about it. Stacey Halls, the author, her other 2 books have been historical fiction like this one, and they were both really good. So Stacey Halls, I think, is someone whose books I will definitely look out for in the future. And then the other book that I'd like to share with you, if I can get it from under this pile here, is a cookbook that I received, or I bought in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And it's this one, Dr. Rupy Cooks. I think I've said before that I'm really interested in sort of the message around food and how it impacts your overall health. And Dr. Rupy is quite a vocal advocate of that message, and he's written a few cookbooks, a couple of which I've got and have really used a lot and enjoyed. So when this one came out in mid-February, I jumped and pre-ordered it, and it's fantastic. You can see from the bits of paper, I think I've cooked 5 things from it. I'm allowed to cook twice a week at home. My husband is a big cooking fan. It's his thing. So he does most of the cooking, but I'm allowed to cook twice a week. And since I got this book, I have cooked twice a week from it. And everything I have cooked has been really good, really tasty. It's very plant-based. There are a handful of meat dishes. I could probably count the meat dishes on one hand. So it's very plant-based, and to be fair, we're not predominant, well no, we are predominantly plant-based, or in the area of being plant-based. We have meat maybe once or twice a week, and we do still eat dairy. But this is mainly plant-based, and it's just really good. So for example, I think the first thing I cooked, I won't show you the recipe, but I cooked this gorgeous aubergine with balsamic vinegar and pine nuts. That was really nice. This one was brilliant. It's chestnut and white bean stew with cavolo nero. That was superb. And the nice thing about these recipes is they're all really easily adaptable. I'm cooking this tonight, haricot bean casserole. And what else have I marked? Satay squash with crispy cauliflower. That was cooked in the first week. That was cooked in the first week. That was really nice. And then last week I made chakalaka curried veggie beans. That was probably my least favourite of the meals that I've cooked so far from it, but it was still really nice. So if you're interested in plant-based cooking, or just really delicious, really healthy meals, I really recommend this. There we go. Right, very quick chat about my shop. I'm not going to show you too much because I think probably in my next episode I'll have more to share. But I have been working away on your orders, thank you very much. And also working on building up some stock for my next shop update, which will be in early March. I don't have the date confirmed yet. If you're interested in having early access to my shop updates, then I encourage you to sign up for my newsletter, which there's a link in the description box. Newsletter subscribers get first access to all shop updates and news of what's going on behind the scenes and recommendations and things like that. So I have some really nice comments or feedback when I send out my newsletter, so I think it's quite a nice one to read. So if you want to sign up, then there's a link below. Anyway, I will just show you a couple of the fabrics that I've been working on this week. I shared this on Instagram earlier in the week. This is my, I think we'll probably call it my root veg bag, which is quite apt given the book we've just been talking about. So I will have this. This is my midi size. Again, I've increased the size of my midis just very slightly, and they're a little bit deeper again for this update. So yeah, so my root veg, I've also done it in a zipper. There'll be a zipped option with many of the fabrics, not all of them, but a lot of them will have a zipped option. What I'm trying to do with all the fabrics that I've got is to have availability in all the different bag sizes I do. So my everyday, my midi, my extra large, a zipper, and a notions, which I haven't picked one up. So yeah, so the ones I've been working on so far are root veg and this woodland print. That's looking a little bit, it's more of a sort of a graphite, darker colour, the light from the windows washing the colour out a bit, but you get the idea. It's very Eldenwood Craft, isn't it? With hedgehogs and foxes and deer and toadstools and oak leaves and owls and branches and all the things that I love. So yeah, unfortunately I was only able to get 1 or 2 meters of this, and I haven't been able to find the fabric again, so these will be very limited in availability, but the rest of the fabric I think will have regular availability. And as I said in my podcast last time, what I'm trying to do is to keep my shop up to date, or stocked with availability of the fabrics that I'm able to get hold of on a regular basis. So every couple of weeks or so I am looking at what stock is in the shop, or what made to order stock is in the shop, and updating those slots to make more available. So you're not always waiting for a big shop update to be able to purchase a project bag if you so wish. Okay, so yeah, so that was just a very quick skim through a couple of the fabrics that I've been working on. I've got a load more cut out over there that I'll be working on in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then it will be time for a shop update. Okay, I think that's it. I think we've covered everything. I will look forward to coming back in the next couple of weeks. I hope the lighting and the sound is a bit better today. Let me know if there's been any problem, or whether you prefer the downstairs kitchen setting or here. I think this is better up here, to be honest. Anyway, I'll be back in the next couple of weeks with more knitting, with more books, maybe an FO or 2, we will see. Don't forget to like and subscribe, that would be really good. That helps to get my channel pushed out to more people, and it also tells YouTube that you like knitting podcasts, which I guess is why you're here, so it's a win-win for both of us. Leave a comment, let me know what you're working on, where you're watching, and generally just have a really good couple of weeks before I come back and chat with you again. Okay, take care, lots of love, bye!